Hello students, in my today's lecture I am going to start with the cranial nerves. So in my first lecture of this cranial nerve, so I will discuss the olfactory nerve. This is the first cranial nerve, but for this nerve, cranial nerve name is misnomer because it is not starting from the brain, it is going from the periphery to the higher center. So same story is with the optic nerve, but they are included in cranial nerves because they are somehow related with the cranium portion. Now once we discuss the any cranial nerve, what you have to keep in mind is आपने किस किस चीज़ का ध्यान रखना है, how it is starting, that where from where it is starting, secondly what is the course of this nerve, and where it is ending in the brain, or if it is starting from the brain, so how it is leaving the brain, then where it is going. So what are the different areas which are supplied by that particular cranial nerve. So this is regarding each cranial nerve which we will discuss in our subsequent lectures. Second important thing is, if any applied which is important with any particular cranial nerve is there, that you have to keep in mind. So keeping in mind all these points, I am starting with the cranial nerve. So this is the olfactory nerve, which is the first cranial nerve. It is purely sensory nerve which has the function of smell. Now basically the nasal cavity is lined by the olfactory mucosa, but this olfactory mucosa is present only in the posterior superior part of the nasal cavity. So there are two nasal cavity, you know it, so that in the superior part, but posteriorly the olfactory mucosa is there. So it is just lining the nasal cavity, that is, it is covering the nasal septum as well as the lateral wall also. So it is covering the roof, it is covering the lateral wall, it is covering the nasal septum. Now in this olfactory mucosa, in the epithelium of olfactory mucosa, the receptor cells are present. So each receptor cell has a peripheral process. So these are the short processes which are just extending toward the lumen of the nasal cavity. It has a long process which is going towards the higher center. Now the different nerve fibers, they join to form the different bundles. We call them as the bundles of olfactory nerve. So these bundles of olfactory nerve, they pierce the one bony plate in the anterior cranial fossa, you know it, that is the cribriform plate of the ethmoidal bone. So once it is piercing the cribriform plate of ethmoidal bone, they go to the olfactory bulb. Now after that, we will discuss the nerve on the inferior side of the brain. So on the inferior side of the brain, this is olfactory bulb. So same here. So this is the olfactory bulb, this is olfactory tract. So this is the olfactory tract. Now once the fibers, they are reaching here, so the impulse is transmitted to the different neurons which are lying in the olfactory bulb. They are transmitted to the olfactory tract. And if we see further, the olfactory tract is dividing into two limbs. So these are known as the stria. So olfactory stria is there. That is, this is the medial olfactory stria. This is the lateral olfactory stria. So this is the lateral olfactory stria, and this is the medial olfactory. From this olfactory stria, it is in relation to this here perforated substance is there. So this perforated substance lateral to this, so on each side there is one portion which is the uncus and parahippocampal gyrus. So this area is responsible for the reception of the impulse of smell from the peripheral side. So here we recognize the smell in brain. So that is uncus and parahippocampal gyrus, which is jointly given the name entorhinal area. So this entorhinal area includes the uncus and parahippocampal gyrus. So this is all about the root of olfactory nerve. This is very short and small nerve, but what you should know is it is starting from the peripheral portion, going to the higher center, ending into the brain on the inferior side. So that's all about olfactory nerve. Thank you very much.